Thanks for giving me the opportunity to participate, which I couldn't do in person because of family matters. My name is Chris Moslin, and I've been working on trails for the Trans-Canada Trail for 26 years. So it's a long story, and I will try to briefly recapitulate it. We went through many steps when the rails were first taken off in 1991. We formed a little society called the Boundary Rails to Trail Society, basically adjacent landowners, and to advocate for the government acquisition of the rail grade. With one of the first things we did was create a heritage inventory, which is still used today, almost 25 years later, as a reference for many of the historic items along the stretch called the boundary, what we called the boundary pathway. Later, we formed into something called the Boundary Region of Trails BC, and we were active members of Trails BC. And as that, we were able to apply for managed grants from local governments, from industry, from the Trans-Canada Trail Foundation, as well as the Canadian military. These grants decked 3 trestles across the Kettle River and assisted with the installation of 17 kilometers of crush on the heritage rail bed between Grand Forks and Christina Lake, which was installed by Terrace and Gas as part of their deal being able to put the Southern Crossing pipeline in that corridor. In 2001, we formed the Grand Forks Community Trail Society because there was many other trails in our area, which is part of the problem, besides the Trans-Canada Trail. And we wanted to form a group that would concentrate and focus on advocating for pedestrian and cycling trails within the region. The accomplishments of this society can be found on the website gftrails.ca. In 2013, the Communities Trail Society signed a stewardship agreement with Rec Sites and Trails BC to manage 34 kilometers of the Trans-Canada Trail, 17 kilometers east of Christina Lake, and 17 kilometers north up the road to up the trail to Eholt. So that's a bit about the background. That's not the whole story, but it's probably as brief as I could make it. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to focus on the Trans-Canada Trail then, okay? However, I want to make it clear to everybody that we manage more than the Trans-Canada Trail. And that the part of the fundamental problem in our region is that there are lots of trails, if that can be seen as a problem. We're wealthy with trails. We have a beautiful countryside. But the fundamental problem with the Trans-Canada Trail, in my opinion, is that it was created with little input or accountability from local governments. This has eventually led to a real challenging situation in our region, not so much in our region, but other regions. I mean, we try to get on in our area and we cooperate with other stewards. But there is an abundance of trails, and sometimes there's a real situation where there's conflict between the different trail users. It seems that Canadians love their trails, and I don't blame them. It connects them with their incredible landscape. The challenging part is that they all do it differently. Some hike, some ski, some cycle, some go horseback, and some on our outdoor recreational vehicles. Obviously, not every trail can accommodate every user, and this has led to some conflicts. After a visit from the Rec Sites and Trails BC folks 2 or 3 years ago to remind us that the province had already spent a lot of money in the area, and they have, probably millions, and that all it had done politically for the government was set one group against another. So we were told pretty bluntly that if we wanted any more money, we better work together. So together with the GFA TV Club and other trails groups in our region, we signed the Boundary Trails Agreement in 2013, which basically agreed trails for every user, but not every trail for every user. Well, simultaneous to this, the Grand Forks Community Trail Society had been advocating for a major upgrade of the 17-kilometer section between Grand Forks and Cascade as a showpiece section of the Trans-Canada Trail since 2010. We called this section the Kettle River Heritage Trail. In November of 2013, the City of Grand Forks, the province, and local industry partnered to pave the first 2.2 kilometers of the Kettle River Heritage Trail along the shores of the Kettle River within the city and out to the regional district. Then in August 2014, the province sent us a letter and all the other trails groups advising all trails groups that it would no longer support the development of the Trans-Canada Trail unless there was community support for the non-motorized designation. Yikes. It was clear that there would not be any further funding from senior governments unless there was that designation and community support for it. That fall, the Grand Forks Community Trail Society triggered a process that would obtain that designation for the Kettle River Heritage Trail, which is just half of what we steward. It took almost 2 years, but that official designation was completed in 2016. Unfortunately, this leaves the sections of the Trans-Canada Trail that are designated as non-motorized as orphans, sort of, from the province. And these sections also need work if they're going to last another 26 years. So, you know, that's the trail situation for the Trans-Canada Trail. In brief, if it's non-motorized, there's money. If it's motorized, there's not a lot of money. Well, what we've done is we're working hard on both. Even as I'm speaking, the grader is working between Grand Forks and Christina Lake. And that's going to become a beautiful crush trail. It's refurbishing the existing crush, plus an additional 1.9 kilometers of pavement through 2 provincial parks. That's because the whole community, including the ATV Club, agreed that we should designate that non-motorized in order to attract the provincial capital that it has attracted. However, we are still very keen on improving the motorized section from Grand Forks north to Eholt. And fortunately, we were able to get the support of our area director, who gave us a small gas tax fund money of $25,000. And we were able, along with industrial help again, and with the help of the ATV Club and others, and volunteers, of course, to put a new crush surface on the first 2.2 kilometers of trail from the city's northern border on Coalshoot Road to a first subdivision on Eagle Ridge Road. We're hoping to extend that in the years ahead, gradually all the way to a place called Rathmullen Great. Incidentally, we're having the official opening of that multi-use trail on May 27th. Everyone's welcome if they want to come try it out. We'll be holding a bit of an event. So that's how we've sort of been dealing with it. We're trying to deal, it seems to be 2 different rules for the 2 different sections. And rather than fuss about it, we've just gotten busy and tried to do what we can for both sections. Okay, so the result is that the region is gradually getting an improved multi-use section of the Trans-Canada Trail and a major upgrade to the high-profile, non-motorized Kettle River Heritage Trail. Well, the key thing is, there's 2 key things to make it happen. One is flexibility and inclusion. You have to be accepting of other trails groups if you're going to move forward. 2, the second thing that really must happen is that local governments, whether it's regional districts or municipalities, must make a plan. They must have a clear vision of what they want to see in the way of trails for their constituents. It is their trails. The potential benefits to the local citizenry and their visitors far outweigh any dogmatic approach to trails. I really do encourage a growing role for local governments in trail development. With that role, they will get to make decisions, and with those decisions, They get to have responsibilities, and the senior governments should accept those decisions. Anyhow, that's sort of the Trans-Canada Trail from my perspective in the Boundary. Thanks
Okay.
again for the opportunity to share the trail with you.